It's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. It's time for another episode of Life in the Movies podcast. I'm one of your co hosts. My name is Ryan Cam. We are live. I'm joined by the great and powerful Jacob Martin, holding it down in the great state of Tennessee. This is the June preview. Jacob, can you believe it?
That is crazy. I'm shocked that we're already after June. We're halfway done with 2023 already. I've been in Tennessee half a year. I started school half a year. It's crazy. It seemed like I just got here.
No, it is insane. But yes, this is indeed the June 2023 preview. Like I said last month with the May preview, for the preview episodes, we're going to do it live and react to these movies and talk about various Marvel wranglings with our TV coverage. We're going to do it live. And last week we Jacob and we did a live episode reacting to some movie theater memes. It was a ton of fun. There was a lot of great stories. We've already got people in the chat. The View with Drew. Hello, Drew. How are you? And actually, it's good that Drew is here because in my haste last week, I left some crumbs on the table and things that I wanted to bring up because on my YouTube community post, The View with Drew actually left a story and I forgot to read it. So Drew, if you're watching, I do apologize for that. To make it up to you, I will read it to you right here and now. So Drew, The View with Drew says, awesome. I can't wait to drop by the stream. In terms of worst theater experiences, I would say Crimes of Grindelwald. The movie was so boring. There were some redeeming qualities, but by the time it was over, I said in my head, I wish I saw Bohemian Rhapsody in theaters again. Also, good news, I gave your channel a shout out on my channel. First of all, Drew, thank you so much for that. And second of all, yeah, Crimes of Grindelwald, the Fantastic Beasts movies in general are just hard work. But, I mean, yeah, I can't argue with your choice there.
I just remember seeing that movie in theaters, and there were a lot of bored children running around. That's all I'm going to say. It was not a pleasant experience.
Yeah, and I mean, considering that we're going to be talking about a movie with Ezra Miller in it, I mean, Ezra Miller, this person just is like Roddy Piper in 1985, just nothing but controversy. But believe me, we are going to talk about that when we get there. Don't you worry. As I alluded to in the beginning, this is the June 2023 preview. We're going to be covering all the movies coming out in June. It's going to be a pretty busy month, to say the least. And then I finally watched Iron Fist Season 1, Episode 4, so we will be picking things up where we left off from there because we didn't talk about it last week because I had only seen the first 10-ish minutes. But I have been a good boy. I have watched the episode beginning all the way to end, and I am ready to talk about it. But before we dive in, I just want to say that this is indeed live. The chat is open. If you all would like to talk with us, then by all means, go on right ahead. The thing about these live episodes that I love is that we can get your feedback like instantaneously. Like I know Aaron is probably going to be showing up in a few minutes, and Jason the Old Millennial will probably be here too. But if you're here watching and you want to light up the live chat, by all means, go ahead. Actually, Drew commented, are you excited for Transformers Rise of the Beasts? Well, I don't want to tip my hand just yet, but Drew, we are going to be getting to that in just a minute. But Jacob, before we dive into that, give us a bit of a life update. How's school going for you?
School's going pretty good. We're down to the last 3 weeks in this quarter. About to get our finals in. We got a lectureship coming up next week. A lot of students have lessons for that. I actually lucked out on that because they planned it before I even got to the school. The theme for this year is on the heart. And so I tell people my lesson, since I'm not doing one, my lesson is just a heart that sits back and watches.
Oh, nice. Is there any particular Bible verses that revolve around that?
I'm not actually doing the lesson because, like I said, it was developed before I even got to school. But some of the other students have quite a bit of material. Like one's got doing a lesson on like the heart that won't quit. Somebody else is doing one on being after God's own heart, and another one's on the heart that deceives, and somebody else is doing a thankful heart.
Oh, nice. So, what part of the heart would you be taking?
The heart that sits back and watches.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Apparently, I cannot listen, but I,
Yeah, I'll
I,
but
I'd be in.
I'll keep you posted on that and what I'll probably be doing it next year, so I'll let you know then.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, glad to hear things are going well there. Before we talk about Iron Fist, is there any movies that you've seen that you wanted to talk about?
Well, actually, just last night I rewatched Mission Impossible 3 in preparation for
Ooh,
Dead Reckoning. I'll be having a collab on that movie real soon with Jacob Collins from 3D Movie Cinema. And
nice.
honestly, rewatching it again, it's in my opinion, it's the most underrated film in the franchise. I don't
Mhm.
think the film gets near as much love as it should. It was directed by J.J. Abrams. It was the first movie he ever directed. He did a really good job on the film. I felt like he did a good job of balancing the espionage that worked in the first movie and the action that worked in the second movie, and did a better blend of the two that kind of set the stage for how the rest of the franchise ended up. I really love Tom Cruise's performance in this movie. Not only does he do the physical stunts well, but this is one of his more emotional performances where you get to see more so the personal side of Ethan Hunt that we haven't really seen in any of the other movies. And I really appreciate that. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain. I would say between him and Henry Cavill and Fallout, he's up there for one of the most memorable villains in the franchise. And all around, it's just a really entertaining action film that not too many people talk about, and I think it should be up there with among the better Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 3 does not get enough love, and maybe it's the J.J. Abrams aspect, but I don't care. That movie's really good, and I keep saying it. The Mission Impossible franchise is surprisingly consistent, maybe with the exception of 2, which is not great, but doesn't get it's not near worthy of some of the criticisms that I've seen. It's the worst of the series by a lot, but I still find I find a lot of good things with it. But Mission Impossible 3, that one is the dark horse of the series. No one talks about it, and I feel like more people should because it's funny looking back because that movie came out in 2005. That was when Tom Cruise was like jumping on Oprah's couch and doing all these publicity stunts. And he was like trying to pass himself off as like the more level-headed kind of guy when in reality he's not that. And I feel like with if Top Gun Maverick has proven anything, that and Mission Impossible Fallout is that Tom Cruise is definitely steering into the skid of this guy might be crazy, but he knows how to have a good time. And I think that Mission Impossible 3 is definitely, like I said, the dark horse of it. It's got a great cast. You mentioned Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's the best villain of the entire series. I know what I say when I say that, and I'm sticking to it. This scene where he's in the plane and Ethan Hunt's like asking him where the rabbit's foot is, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's like, "You got a wife, you got a family," like just asking him seemingly irrelevant questions. But he ties it all together. It's like, "I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna find him, and I'm gonna hurt him." And it's like he just sees Ethan Hunt not as like this super spy, but just this obstacle that just needs to be gotten out of the way so that he can continue on. He has a very businessman of business attitude. He's very cold-hearted, very calculating, very numbers on an Excel spreadsheet kind of villain. It's something that doesn't really get tapped into for the rest of the series, and it's something that I really do respect. I feel like they don't touch on it again, and I don't really feel like they're going to get back to it at any point soon because I really like Solomon Lane. I like Matthias Schoenaerts in Ghost Protocol, and he's the villain there. Like John Voight in Mission Impossible 1, and Doug Ray Scott was around in Mission Impossible 2. But really the only like quality villain there is like Philip Seymour Hoffman. He owns it.
Yeah, I think I can see that because Philip Seymour Hoffman was such a gifted actor. He definitely brought a lot into his performance. I especially love. I thought it was a bold choice to like open the film like right at the climax of the movie where Tom Cruise is being tortured and he's being interrogated by Philip Seymour Hoffman on like where the rabbit's foot is, and he's making the countdown like, if you don't tell me where the rabbit's foot is, she dies. And I was like, man, this is intense. And I was kind of a bold choice, but I actually do respect it because the acting is so good. And the story is so investing there that, like, when it goes back to the beginning, it makes you interested to see, oh, where does it end up at that point?
And the scene where not Jennifer Garner, Kerry Russell. Kerry Russell,
yeah,
who plays Lindsay Ferris in that first scene. It's an electrifying opening scene where they have to rescue her, and then they just get away, and then they're on this chopper. They're on their way out. They're trying to get the bomb because the signature of Philip Seymour Hoffman's character Owen Davian is that he shoots like a mini bomb up people's noses, and that basically sits on their brain, and that basically when he presses a button, it just triggers, and it basically like it's like an explosion, but it's like inside the head. So trying to find the bomb, nearly gets it, and then the next thing you know, like Kerry Russell's face just goes, and you just the eyes go like sideways and all that, and like, wow, this is PG-13, huh? Like you can just only imagine like what's going on in there, and you just it's such a brilliant scene. It is.
Yeah, there's a lot to that movie that I really like. Some underrated action scenes in that movie too, like when he infiltrates the Vatican to infiltrate and take Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then that when they get ambushed on the Chesapeake Bridge Tunnel in Virginia is a really exciting scene. There's this really cool extended tracking shot of Tom Cruise running down Shanghai, which is really cool. And then the fulcrum maneuver he does, where he jumps off a building, swings onto another, and slides down the glass. I'm like, build up for what's to come for Tom Cruise and his obsession with stunt work in the franchise.
And the thing about Mission Impossible 3, this was supposed to be the last one with Tom Cruise in it. There's the scene where he and his wife in the movie, Michelle Monaghan, which, by the way, good choice on getting her. And nice tie-in with Fallout, bringing her back. But basically, this was supposed to be Ethan Hunt's like last one. I read somewhere that in Ghost Protocol, it was Ethan Hunt who actually dies in the first scene and not Trevor Hannaway, the other MI agent. It turns out that it was supposed to be turned into a vehicle for Jeremy Renner. However, basically it was given back to Tom Cruise because, I mean, what's Mission Impossible without Tom Cruise? It's hilarious to think about now, like what that would have been, what decision that they could have been, especially considering that Jeremy Renner is still a part of the MCU. I haven't seen all of Hawkeye, so I don't know if like something happened. I know in real life Jeremy Renner would get well soon. I know he had that accident, but you know it would just be interesting straddling two franchises, not just MCU but also Mission Impossible. But I guess in an alternate reality, it's happening.
Yeah, I can't imagine this franchise without Tom Cruise. I think they made the right choice at the end of the day.
I can't imagine Jeremy Renner. Like, I mean, he's in the movie. Let's not get it twisted. Like on the actual Burj Khalifa. I can't imagine that. But
I don't think it would. I don't think it would have been near as impactful if they had done that.
No.
It's kind of like with the Bourne Legacy. Like he tried taking over for Matt Damon. It just didn't end well.
Exactly. They they killed off Bourne, and then they were like, let's bring Bourne back. And like, yeah, we did kind of kill him off. But then they brought him back, and it was kind of lame. But that's another story for another time. Bryson Flowers is in the chat. Hello, Bryson. Does anyone think Harrison Ford is too old to play the physical stunts as Indiana Jones? Well, we'll more than certainly be getting to that conversation there, Bryson. Let's put a pin in that for a minute. We will be talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So we'll definitely put a pin in that for a minute. As for me, I've seen a couple of movies. Let me get my Letterboxd out here, which also a bit of a programming note for the future. I do plan on covering some Mission Impossible movies in honor of Dead Reckoning, so that's going to be a little further down the line. So this past week, I ended up seeing mostly new stuff. I watched Fast X, which that review is on the channel currently if you'd like to check out my thoughts on that, but the movie was trash.
Isn't that your favorite movie of the year, Ryan? Fast X?
Jacob, it's too late for this. Please stop.
Just messing with you.
The movie was just god awful. It was just like I'm pretty chill when it comes to like logic and stuff in movies. I'm like, okay, like if you want to like do it, that's fine. And I've been mostly forgiving on most things regarding Fast and Furious, but it's like 8, 9, and now this, they have officially jumped the shark. Like they've jumped the shark. They've taken the shark into space. Like that's how bad it's gotten. And the only redeeming quality about that movie is Jason Momoa, who is simultaneously the best and the worst part of the movie because number one, he's trying way too hard. But on the other hand, he's trying way too hard. He chews every piece of scenery that's on the screen. And I don't want to spoil anything, Jacob, if you have any interest in seeing it, do you have any interest in seeing it? I don't want to spoil it.
Not really, but kind of.
Just to be safe, I won't go too deep into specifics, but there was one part of this movie that just really just hit a nail in my brain, and I couldn't get it out. It was, again, as general as possible, this movie had no ending. It pretty much has a scene. It's about to start. The scene is about to start, but then it cuts to credits. That's literally what happens. And Jacob, when you do see it, you will get the specific context. But yeah, it's not great. And I was honestly considering doing a spoiler talk of it, but honestly, talking about this movie exhausts me. So I'm just going to be moving on now. So a little bit about like what I do outside of this channel. I'm actually part of a couple movie trivia leagues. One of them is the Multiplex Movie Trivia League, which I will promote when my match is coming up next. But I am actually preparing for that by rewatching some of the Transformers movies because, well, Rise of the Beasts is coming out, which we will talk about. But I have not seen the Transformers, the movie from the 80s, and I rewatched Bumblebee. So it was a bit of a Transformers double feature for me. The Transformers, the movie, honestly felt like more like a music video more than a film, and I really do not mean that as a dig. I mean that as a compliment, because the plot of the movie is really scarce. It's just an excuse for stuff like, you got the touch, and like these very over-the-top, like cheesy 80s songs, and I love songs like that. So that combined with the animation and the voice talents of Peter Cullen and a very, very sleepy Orson Welles as Unicron, which I don't know how they were able to swing that, but they got him for it, and you could just tell he would rather be anywhere else but there. But even still, it was so much fun, and that's the biggest compliment that I can give. It's a very fun movie, and I could say the same thing for Bumblebee as well. I remember when I saw Bumblebee, I saw it the same night that I saw Aquaman and Mary Poppins Returns, all in one night. It was like Mary Poppins was at, or not Mary Poppins, but Aquaman was at like 6. Mary Poppins was at like 8-ish, and then like Bumblebee was at like 10-ish. So it was a busy night. But I remember, and I think I was just supremely tired, so I was like, it's just okay. Rewatching it for the purpose of like preparing for the trivia match and I have a video coming up where I'm going to be reviewing both of these movies more in depth. I honestly liked it more this time because I feel like Bumblebee was more of a cure-all for what Michael Bay kind of left the Transformers as, because I like Transformers 1 and 3. 2, 4, and 5 are garbage. Full stop. And Michael Bay pretty much killed any interest that I have in seeing any more of these movies. Travis Knight kind of reawoke that. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. This movie's very much kind of like E.T., but with robots. But I think the movie was fun. And I feel like they're going more in that direction with Rise of the Beasts, which we'll talk about in a second. Bryson's back. I will admit, Fast X was exaggerated, especially when the car destroyed 2 helicopters. However, I admired how over the top it was. Jason's here. Hey, Ryan and Jacob. Does it feel like the summer movies are here now? Well, it's going to be a pretty loaded June, so if summer hasn't started, I don't know what will. But yeah, to finish my thought, the Transformers the movie and Bumblebee are both really fun movies, and I will have a review up for both of those.
All right.
Sorry for rambling so long, but Aaron White is here. Aaron, what's up, my man?
Aaron.
Thoughts on Bumblebee, Jacob, before we move on?
Oh yeah. I need to. Oh, I probably should have said something. I'm sorry. The Bumblebee movie is great. I think of all the live-action Transformers movies, it's easily the best one. It puts all the Michael Bay films to shame. It actually does tell a really good story that I really got into. And yeah, even though it's E.T. with cars, it's still fun. I enjoyed Haley Steinfeld. There was good action in it when it needed to be there, and I got into the story. I would say it's far better than all of the Michael Bay films, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, with Rise of the Beast coming out, it's looking like they're going more of this tone, which, I mean, that can only be a good thing. So I watched one for the first time and rewatched another for the first time since the theaters. And it was honestly refreshing because there's a genre, there's a category in the Trivia League. It's called fandom. There's a separate league that's like a kind of a sister league called fandom, where it's all MCU, Star Wars, DC, Marvel. And then there's another category called sci-fi icons, where it's RoboCop, all the RoboCop movies, all the Transformers movies, Alien, and Predator. So you have to really know in depth about all of those movies if you're going to succeed in that. Do you look forward more to the summer movie season or the Oscar season in winter? I'll finish my thought up really quick, but yeah, it was. So you really have to be intimate with all of those movies if you're going to succeed in the sci-fi icons category. But to Jason's question, do you look forward to the summer movie season or the Oscar season? Honestly, I love the winter season of movies. Like last year's winter season, where we got like Babylon, The Fabelmans, just in a row. I was just in movie heaven. Like that December 2022 was like a legendary month for movies for me. But Jacob, what do you think?
I think it depends on what type of movies you're looking for. Summer movie season's more your blockbusters. The winter months is kind of more of a mix between the blockbusters and the kind of like the award contender films. I think usually I'd like to say the ones that come out in the winter tend to be some of my favorite films of that year. So I think I get more out of the winter months as far as movies, more so than the summer. But at the end of the day, a great movie is still a great movie, and I'll still celebrate it regardless of whenever it comes out.
True that. Bryson's back. Ryan, do you have nostalgia for the classic Transformers series from the 80s or 90s? Bryson, it was a little before my time, so no, unfortunately. Honestly, watching the Transformers, the movie for the first time, watching that movie really gave me perspective onto why, outside of shoddy filmmaking, that people think Michael Bay is just the worst for what he did to Transformers. Because yes, a lot of that has to do with just the filmmaking itself in a bubble. But watching that movie, I was just like, this is kind of so fun. And seeing like Grimlock actually doing stuff outside of like a 5-minute scene in like Age of Extinction, I was like, now I understand where some people are coming from.
Yeah, I have actually seen the animated Transformers movie. It was harder for me because apparently that movie is set in between like the mid seasons of the Transformers show. And having not seen a single episode, I was lost on the entire plot of the movie. And so to me, the movie put me to sleep, if I was being honest. But the one thing I remember in that is, spoiler alert, they kill off Optimus Prime, which was
that was
weird.
Shocking for me because I remember that happening. I'm like, he's the figurehead of your franchise. What are you doing, people?
I don't even think that was earned because it turned out they only did that just to sell new toys. So I don't think that it was earned to me. I remember the song because it's like all over the movie. And yeah, Orson Welles voiced the villain in this movie. And he died like 3 days after he finished doing his lines. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah, he was like really, really sick. And he had just enough material and days to finish his lines. He said he didn't enjoy doing the movie, but
I'm not surprised.
It's his voice performance is one of the few things I remember about the movie, and I enjoyed his role, so you got to give him that. Even though he was technically phoning it in and dying, he still did a good job.
I mean, it's crazy to think about the dude who directed Citizen Kane, The Magnificent Ambersons, Touch of Evil. Here he is voicing this big planet-sized robot. I'm like, wow, interesting. Aaron White, I have the nostalgia. Yeah. You know, I'd love to go like time travel back to the 80s, find Aaron White and be like, hey, let's go to Blockbuster. I'd love to do that sometime if time travel actually did exist. But Jacob, I think it's time. I think the time for talk is over on that. Let's dive into some Iron Fist coverage.
All right.
Iron Fist, Season 1, Episode 4, finally. The episode itself is called 8 Diagram Dragon Palm. I'm pretty sure they just put a bunch of words into like a kung fu name generator, and this is what came up with it. Danny makes a shocking discovery and a radical pricing proposal. Colleen's extracurricular activities go viral. Ward issues a stern warning. All right, so Jacob, you've seen this episode before me. Why don't you go first? What were your thoughts on Season 1, Episode 4?
All right. Well, let's see if I can remember what I saw because it's been a week. I thought at the time, my thoughts was I still have a lot of issues with it, but I got into this episode a lot more than I have the other three. Going into what I did not like about the episode first, everything that they set up in the first 3 episodes, they undo it in the first 5 minutes, which is very odd to me because you set up this conflict with Danny trying to take over the company and Ward trying to silence him and shut him up, and the cliffhanger in the last episode, he gets knocked out of a window and nearly falls to his death. You're like, oh, this is going to be harder than it looks. But no, in the next episode, they're like, oh, no, don't worry about that. The Faramir guy gets to reveal himself. He revealed himself. We're hugging. We're making up. You can run the company now. It's all right. I was like, what? This is weird. However, I did not like the drama with the company shufflings and that drama. I thought that was annoying in episode 3. So part of me was kind of relieved that they moved on from that so soon. But the other side of me is like frustrated that they retconned it like that because it just kind of comes out of nowhere. But once they dived into that, the rest of the episode was kind of standard. There were a couple reveals that I thought were intriguing, particularly with Danny. We get to see more of him as a character and what he's trying to do for the company. I thought was kind of interesting, and the clashes with him and Ward. There's a really cool action scene at the very end. I like some of the fight choreography, and that's one thing I got to compliment in these shows between Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and now Iron Fist. The fight choreography in all these shows are really, really good. And so even though this show's not near as good as the other shows, I still like the fight choreography when it's there. But there's still some issues. I know, Ryan, with the few minutes you saw last week, you thought it was weird, the rule setting up on the Faramir character and how he died and he somehow came back. But how does Ward know that he's alive, but they can't reveal it to the daughter? It doesn't make sense to me. It's really weird. But I'd say this was the least frustrating of the 4 episodes, but it's still not a great episode by any means.
Yeah, I enjoyed this more than previous, but at the same time, it's just like, yo, what are we all doing? It's like I feel like the status quo is just changing, because it's like the first 3 episodes is like, we cannot let Danny Rand back into this company. Episode 4, welcome Danny Rand back to the company. It's like, what was even the point? Like, I would have much preferred maybe if they just like let him back in, but then like Ward Meacham and the Faramir guy, his father, like from the shadows, like, he'll think he'll run the company, but it'll really be us. Mwahaha. Like something like that. It would have been a little more consistent, but it's like, you can come in. And there are just several side like tangent things. Like when, for example, there's a scene where Finn tells the story to I can't remember the woman's name. The sister of Ward.
Oh yeah, I forget her name.
I don't want to say it's Claire, because we do have a Claire. She's played by Rosario Dawson. But that person, that character, Finn tells a story about how when he was at the monastery, he had to like carry up like jugs of water to be filled for he and his master's daily rations. And then literally every day it was sparring training. I'm like, why couldn't the show just be about that? Like, just have this privileged rich kid like crash in the middle of nowhere, be taken in by this monastery, and they just like kind of like that scene in Kill Bill where the bride has to go through all that kung fu training, but just stretch that out for 12 or 13 episodes. I would have much preferred to see that, but no. We get like board meetings about pills and prescriptions, and it's like, her name is Joy. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. I was having a brain fart there.
Yeah, I thought it started with a J, but I thought it was Joyce. So
no, but there was like several moments, and again with the character, the one who runs the dojo, she is by far and away more interesting. Like when she gets into the 2-on-1 fight, Colleen. When she gets into the 2-on-1 fight, I was like, this is so cool. Why can't it be about her? Like, be like this dojo owner who is really honestly, earnestly trying to go straight. She has a street fighting background, but that's the only way she knows how to pay the bills. And just have her like stick one pinky toe back in, but then she just becomes all consumed by it. That would have been a far more interesting show than what we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, there's aspects of that character I'm frustrated with. I talked about that in episode 3, but at the end of the day, she's still a far more interesting character than Danny Rand and the Iron Fist. This is a very all over the place show, because there's seeds of potential with this character and with the show, but they're not using the best elements of it, and it's just a muddled mess.
Yeah, this episode was okay. It's a step up, but at the same time is like the progression of this show is going at like glacial speeds. I'm just sitting there like, is there a point? Can we get to the point, please? So I don't know. Definitely the weakest start of any of these shows, because we are officially a quarter of the way in. We're 4 episodes deep. So we're a quarter into this show, and I feel like I'm already just cannot be asked. But I turn it over to all of you. What did you think of season 1, episode 4 of Iron Fist? Let us know in the comments or the live chat. No spoilers, but Colleen gets more story this season in season 2. Thank you. She is by far and away the most interesting part of this entire show, and she deserves it. But Jacob, let's say we do some preview. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. This is the June 2023 preview. Let us kick things off with a little movie called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales catapults across the multiverse where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. When the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles must redefine what it means to be a hero. Jacob, reviews of this have already dropped. It has a 4 out of 4 on RogerEbert.com from Brian Tallarico. It's a pretty good score, I would say. On IMDb here, out of 1,719 star reviews, it has a 9.1 out of 10 total, and it has an 87 on Metacritic. So, yeah, everyone's loving this movie. I cannot wait to see it this weekend. I say we give this one a big old 5. What do you say?
I fully agree. If I had to choose one movie to watch in the month of June, Spider-Verse, easily.
I feel like this movie might be like, I don't want to get bold or anything because predictions and me just do not go well together. I say this movie goes into the $1 billion club. I would be legitimately surprised if it didn't.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. The first Spider-Verse only made like 320 some million worldwide. It was not like a huge box office juggernaut or anything, but it had strong word of mouth. Yeah. I have not seen any negative responses that I know of on Into the Spider-Verse. It's an amazing movie all around. A hugely pleasant surprise considering Sony Pictures Animation a year prior did that masterpiece of a movie known as the Emerging Movie with Patrick Stewart voicing a turd. Of course, I'm saying that with the utmost sarcasm, but that's a terrible movie. You go from the basement all the way to the penthouse, and you did something amazing there. With that word of mouth, I think Spider-Verse, it has potential to do so. I don't know about the $1 billion club, but then again, anything is possible. Mario made $1 billion, which is pretty awesome.
It's so surreal for me to say that. My man Jeremiah Bach is in the chat. Hello, Jeremiah. Christ Stuckman, I think he means Chris Stuckman.
Chris Stuckman.
Chelsea from the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers. YouTube critics seem to love Spider-Verse, which makes me so happy I can hardly wait. Neither can I, Jeremiah.
I cannot wait.
Easily one of my most anticipated movies of the year.
It's my most anticipated animated film of the year, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like Lord and Miller have another hit on their hands, and I feel like Across the Spider-Verse, is just going to clean up. Well, let us now move on to The Boogeyman. This is from the mind of Stephen King, and the literal plot on IMDb is adaptation of Stephen King's The Boogeyman. That's it. That's your plot. Jay, you've seen this trailer. What did you think?
I mean, Stephen King has a brilliant mind, especially when the movies are adapted well. I'm intrigued by it. There was a couple good scares, I guess, in the trailer that have potential. But then I saw it was PG-13. And PG-13 and horror, 9 times out of 10, don't really work all that well.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there are some exceptions. Quiet Place, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Drag Me to Hell. Those are all really good PG-13 horror movies. Maybe this could be in that camp, but that's kind of a detriment on my anticipation because I feel like the R rating is there for the R rating in horror movies tend to go really well together because you can go all out with how intense your premise is with that rating compared to most time in the PG-13 where it's watered down. But I guess that's one I'll just have to see what the word of mouth is before I rush out to go see it. But just on the trailer alone, because I'm intrigued, I'm going to go 3.5.
I'm gonna go 3, and I feel like I'm being a little generous. I feel like there is potential. Chris Messina is in it, and I am a fan of his. Vivian Lyra Blair plays the main character, the little girl. She was young Leia in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
I thought I recognized her in the trailer. So
happy to see she is getting more work. Jason's back. Is anything going to beat Super Mario Brothers in the box office this year? That's a good question.
I can't really think of any other. Mission Impossible, maybe.
But again, at the same time, I feel like Illumination, like they're secretly like the smartest animation studio in the room, because they may not have the most critically acclaimed animated movies of all time, but they know how to make some money.
Yeah, they know how to make money. They know how to market their movies well, regardless of whether you like them or not. They also keep their movies reasonably budgeted too. They don't they don't spend like $200 million on their animated movies like Disney and Pixar do. And they keep them well within range to where like even their most hated movies still make a profit.
I feel like most of their budget goes to like getting recognizable songs.
Yep.
But yeah, Illumination, they are the silent killer. Well, next up is a movie from A24 called Past Lives. Nora and Hae Sung, two deeply connected childhood friends, are wrest apart after Nora's family emigrates from South Korea. 20 years later, they are reunited for one fateful week as they confront notions of love and destiny. All right, so Jacob, what did you think of this one?
I'm not really sure what to make on this one because the trailer was intriguing. I thought there was a lot of good potential. But I don't know. I'm not too big on these like love triangle type movies, nor am I a fan of I think the concept has some potential with like I don't know if they're trying to go with like reincarnation or anything like that. But when watching the trailer, I was just so confused on what they were doing with this one. It looks a little too complex for its own good. But then again, it might just be mismarketing on the trailer's part. I could watch the movie and say, oh, this is a great movie. It could be this year's Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know. I love that movie. But I don't know. I didn't really get much out of this trailer, but I do think it does have potential, especially on a story level. I'm not going to go too high on it because the trailer didn't wow me or anything. So I'm just going to go 3 just because of the idea.
Yeah, I'll concur with you on that. It gave me kind of Before Sunrise vibes. Like, Jacob, if you've ever seen that one with...
yeah, I have. I've seen the whole trilogy. They're all good movies.
Yeah, they're all really good. Jeremiah's back. Hi, Ryan, my dude. Christ Stuckman. From now on, I'm a prey to Christ Stuckman.
Oh, my.
Praise be to he. But yeah, I'm giving this one a 3. It could be interesting. We'll just have to see, because I have not seen A24's other offering, You Hurt My Feelings, yet. I am at least inclined to see that. Well, next up is Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
There we go.
Plot unknown. Reportedly based on the Transformers spin-off Beast Wars, which feature robots that transform into robotic animals. I'm literally reading this off of IMDb, just so you all know. But yeah, we discussed it a little earlier, Jacob. The Michael Bay Transformers movies kind of killed off Transformers for a little while, but then Bumblebee kind of brought it back. I feel like with Beast Wars, I feel like it's going to be a bit more obscure because, not going to lie, the first time I heard about this was on a Nostalgia Critic video where he did a deep dive on Toonami, which the Beast Wars was a part of that block, and I'd never heard of it up to that point. But what did you think of this?
See, yeah, I'm not like a super big Transformers guy. I've only seen the movies, no more, no less. So I know nothing about this source material, the Beast Wars. the trailers just look okay to me. It just looks like another run-of-the-mill, been there, done that Transformers movie to me. However, there's two things that might make the film worthwhile. One, it's from the director of Creed 2, so he might be able to bring some heart into this movie. And because of that, and just from watching the trailer, it looks like the action is going to be really good. There's this one shot in the trailer where like the camera's in focus. And there's a lot of really cool effect shots in motion. I'm like, okay, it's not near as chaotic as what Michael Bay did half the time. I do appreciate that at least. I'm not in a real rush to see Rise of the Beast, but it does look like it's better than the Michael Bay films at least. But anticipation-wise, I'm only going to go 3 on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3 as well. I think it looks fun. I am a big fan of Stephen Caple Jr. I think Creed 2 was fantastic. So I will support anything Stephen Caple Jr. does. However, I feel like they're going a bit more obscure than what was necessary. So we'll just have to see. But Jeremiah's back. I agree Illumination is smart. Like Rachel often says, they know how to make money like no other studio. However, their movies tend to be lazy. They ruined The Grinch, and I have not forgiven them. I kind of like the ending of the Illumination Grinch movie. I haven't seen it cover to cover. I'm thinking of doing it for Christmania this year. But I like the ending where they invite Grinch to the Christmas dinner, and he has the line of, "Hi, thank you for inviting me. I wore a tie." And Mrs. Who is like, "And it looks nice." I don't know why I like that scene so much, but I do.
Yeah, the ending of The Grinch is the best part. But as far as that last comment, I mean, like, yeah, Illumination's made some bad movies, but I feel like between the Sing films and the Mario movie, I think I'm on better terms with Illumination now. I can forgive them for their past sins, like the Minion movies.
I mean, Rise of the Beast looks like a decently fun time. It might be a rental for me. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, keeping up with the unofficial 2023 cinematic universe of movies based on the invention of things that actually exist, Flamin' Hot. This is the inspiring true story of Richard Montañez, who as a Frito-Lay janitor disrupted the food industry by channeling his Mexican heritage to turn Flamin' Hot Cheetos from a snack into an iconic global pop culture phenomenon. So I had no idea this movie even existed until preparing for this. I pass it off to you, Jacob. What did you think?
You know what's funny? When I first saw, I had seen people buzzing about it before seeing the trailer, but I'm like, nah, this can't be a real movie. And even when I first saw like how on YouTube they have like the snippet tease before they get to the real trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a parody. At first, I'm like, what? This is a real movie? There's no way this is a real movie.
Eva Longoria is directing it.
Yeah, it's so weird, but it still looks like it's going to be entertaining to watch, though, because I don't know about this guy. I know about the Flamin' Hot Cheetos, but I didn't know about his background, how he came up with the idea. So I think the intrigue alone has got me wanting to watch it, even though it's probably going to be another one of these generic rags to riches biopic. But hey, it'll give me something to watch on Disney Plus. So I'm intrigued naturally.
Or Hulu.
Or Hulu. Yeah, well, I got Disney Plus. So, just for the intrigue, I'm going 3.5.
I'm going to go 4. Honestly, I mean, Air is one of my favorite movies of the year. I have not seen the Blackberry movie. I do want to see that, though. But I swear, 2023 is like a mini cinematic universe based on things that have actually been created. You can like lump in things like The Social Network in there if you really want to. But talk about a movie I didn't know existed. But well, let's all take a deep breath before we talk about this one. The Flash. Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. All right, Jacob, would you like to go first or shall I?
Yeah, I can go first because I have a lot I want to say about this movie. I know this movie has a lot going against it. There was a lot of production issues. There's a lot of turmoil at DC. This is like the wrap up of the DC EU. That's going to reset going forward, going into James Gunn's whatever planned universe. This film had so much production issues, changes in directors, and then the lead actor Ezra Miller is in so much hot water with so many legal problems and personal problems and so much crazy stuff. However, that's not deterring me from watching this movie. Like even with the Ezra Miller stuff, problematic actor for sure. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending Ezra or his actions, but I can separate the art from the artist and just look at, I guess, the character and stuff like that. So that's not going to turn me off from seeing the film. The movie itself looks absolutely epic. Like every trailer for this movie gets me more and more hyped to see The Flash. I think the story, I think there's a lot of grounded, compelling, there's like a grounded, compelling nature to the story with Barry Allen trying to like save his mom, but he keeps messing up and makes the multiverse even worse. Some of the callbacks look absolutely insane to me with like the Man of Steel callbacks with General Zod being the villain and Michael Keaton that's the part I'm really most excited about. Michael Keaton returning as Batman. Honestly, to those who don't really care to watch the movie because of Ezra, I understand. But in all honesty, I'm not watching the film for Ezra Miller. I'm watching the film mainly for Michael Keaton because I want to see him back as Batman. I think he's going to absolutely crush it. He looks as good a shape as ever to play the character once again. And I think it's going to be a great swan song for the DCEU before we move on to whatever James Gunn's going to do. This might be a controversial choice, but I'm still excited to see The Flash. It's the only DC movie this year I'm truly excited to watch. And even with the Ezra controversy, I'm going to go 4.5 on The Flash.
All right. You're the good cop. I'm the bad cop. I'm going 1. And it really only... Now, let me just preface it by saying, yes, the Ezra Miller stuff does play a factor. However, if you take that out, it's hard, I know. Take it out. The movie just doesn't look that appealing to me. It just feels like callbacks to things that were already better. Like, I see Michael Keaton in this, and I'm just like, wasn't his whole thing in the 89 Batman to, like, his suit was so bulky that he couldn't move his neck, so that's why he moved like this and stuff? Like, his neck just, like, was so immobile. How is he doing, like, parkour? Like, did he just do DDP yoga for, like, 40 years? Like, what is going on here? And then you got the Man of Steel callbacks, which just reminds me of the Henry Cavill situation. I want to rip my hair out because of that whole thing. And reminding me that Michael Shannon was actually a great General Zod, but because he was only in the one movie, he can just never come back, I guess, until he's in this now. So, yeah, the Ezra Miller stuff does definitely play into my feelings. However, I just feel like DC just saw No Way Home and like, let's do something like that. Hence, we got The Flash. So, I'm still going to see it because I am a completionist. I have been along this DCEU train ever since it started, all the way back in 2013. So, I am here for it until the end, until it finishes, and then James Gunn can take over and take things over from there. But I don't know. The movie just does not look appealing to me. I would love to be wrong. If I am wrong, I will happily, in my review, say I was wrong. The movie's good. I will happily say that I am wrong. But as I am sitting right now, May 31st, 2023 at 9:56 p.m. Eastern Time. I just do not care for this movie. I know that might be good. That might not be my take, but there you go.
All right.
Well, we've gotten a lot of comments since then, but Bryson, Flaming Hot Cheetos is my favorite snack. I'm now interested in seeing this movie I never knew before the live stream. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know about this movie until the trailer dropped. I didn't know that either, but to the chat, I ask all of you, are you a regular Cheetos person or a Flaming Hot Cheetos person? I'd love to know. Bryson also says, I love the Justice League more than the Avengers.
Oh, okay.
If we're talking movies, then that is certainly a bold choice. But if we're talking about like super teams in the comics, then yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I wanted to share my point on that real quick. I think I'd say the characters are probably cooler for sure. The Justice League, they're more iconic. I would argue Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. But I think as a whole, as far as quality, the Avengers movies are better. With Justice League, you got two cuts of the same movie. One's amazing, the other is trash. So
the Justice League, the things you do to me. Jason asks, is there any kind of line that you will not cross for an actor, like if they killed someone?
That's a interesting hypothetical question there.
To be completely honest, I remember when I covered Rosemary's Baby for the AFI project, I only covered it because I was a completionist and I wanted to see the project through to the end. I believe in that very video, I put a disclaimer saying, I am not praising Roman Polanski for what he did. I am praising the actors and the cinematography and anything other than him. It was tough, but I think I was able to do it. I believe it is possible to separate the art from the artist. It really is just, it's up to you and your mileage. I think that's the best I can come up with.
I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm in the same boat if we're going with that, because there's been actors and directors and writers who have, they've had scandals and they've done terrible things, and some people face consequences for their actions, and others like Roman Polanski still made movies after what he was accused of and never faced any real consequences for that. But I think for the most part, I can look past the issues and just look at the quality of the film, whether it's good or bad. But then there's other people where I'd say it is a little harder. Like, for me, I grew up loving The Cosby Show as a kid, but then Bill Cosby turned out to be a scummy dude. And I haven't really gotten back to watching that show because, he was for a while seen as the world's greatest dad, but then he turned into the world's scummiest dad. So it's kind of hard on some of these situations.
Yeah, it's so complex that I don't think there really truly is a right or wrong answer. It's just up to you and your mileage. But Aaron White agreed. I'm there for Michael Keaton. He's my Batman. Always has been, always will be. Jeremiah, even though I recognize a lot of the Marvel movies lately are pretty bad, I love nearly all of the older Marvel movies, so I'm definitely Team Marvel. My sister is hardcore Team DC, and she doesn't understand me. Tongue out emoji. Aaron White, Man of Steel turns 10 on June 14th. 10!
Wow. Wow.
I remember.
Insane.
I think it was last week during the movie theater memes stream talking about memorable movie theater going experiences. I think Jason may have asked us that. I remember going to see Man of Steel when it dropped at midnight, and it was a magical experience. Jeremiah Bach, did he do yoga for several years? Yeah, DDP yoga. Snap into that. Nothing's better for your spine. Bang! The View with Drew. Thoughts on the Transformers movies aside from Bumblebee? For me, I really like 1 and 3. I think 3 is underrated. Revenge of the Fallen, Age of Extinction, and The Last Knight are guilty pleasures. I really enjoy number 1. I think it's a lot of fun. Number 3 is actually pretty good. I like some of the action there. And then I think Revenge of the Fallen, Age of Extinction, and Last Knight are just all terrible.
Yeah. You want to know my unpopular opinion? The only Bay film that I actually do like to some degree is Dark of the Moon. All the other films are just all the other ones are too chaotic.
Interesting. Jason, I can't agree. Evil should be punished. We could punish Ezra and DC by not watching his movies and not giving them our money. I mean, yeah, sure.
I can see that, but it's just the one movie though. Like you can't like boycott the entire company just for one movie where one actor. Because 9 times out of 10, Ezra's probably not going to do another DC movie. They're resetting the DC universe. DC was in a tricky situation. Their movie was near done production. And if you recast the actor now, I mean, that would have ballooned the budget. So it was a very tricky situation. And I feel like Warner Brothers did probably as good of a job you could do. I will give them credit. Ezra's getting no publicity for this movie.
Yeah.
So I think they've made the right call on it, but it's still a hard situation. So
yeah, you also have to keep in mind that this Flash movie has been in development hell for years, like nearly a decade. I remember hearing, like, watching Collider Movie Talk and the John Campea show consistently, just hearing Flash writers on board. Now they're gone. They're going back to square one, and just all these other rumors. I'm sure WB was just like, we need to get this movie out. And so I'm sure this movie must have just been like passing a kidney stone. But in the next couple of weeks, it's finally out and they'll be done with it. The View with Drew. How funny would it be if in Age of Extinction, Mark Wahlberg and Optimus Prime danced to Good Vibrations? That would have honestly been the best part of that movie.
Or the cringiest part of that movie.
No, it would have been the best. But next up, moving right along, Elemental follows Ember and Wade in a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together. So 4 nations living together in harmony until the Fire Nation attacked. So reviews of this movie have been coming out. Again, there's one for RogerEbert.com. It was 2 out of 4 stars, so not the best, unfortunately. It's directed by Peter Sohn, who directed The Good Dinosaur. I don't hate The Good Dinosaur, but that is also not a good sign. Jacob, what did you think?
For one, I want to root for this movie. I'm a big Pixar fan. I'm a big Disney fan. I want to root for all of the new projects coming out of this animation studio. And I want to see Disney make a comeback. Mainly because, they haven't had the best couple years, especially Lightyear, which flopped really bad. I want this to be a return to form, but at the same time, I don't think this movie is going to win a lot of people over. The trailers for this movie have not really been that great. The animation looks spectacular. I like aspects of the premise, but even what they're doing with it, with these 4 elements that are kind of separated, segregated, and they're going to try to do like this allegory for this like forbidden romance with the different elements. I'm like, it just seems kind of been there, done that to me, just with elements instead of people. And it doesn't look like it's going to be anything mind-blowing to me, but the movie could prove me wrong. Sometimes Pixar does not have the best marketing, but their movies still turn out great. I actually do like The Good Dinosaur. I think it's an underrated Pixar movie, so we'll see. But as of now, I'm only going to go 3 because the trailers hadn't been doing it for me.
What was that, a 3?
3, yeah.
I'm going to go 2.5. I think that Pixar, with this kind of story, is kind of washing dishes that they've already washed. Is like, all right, cool, but you've already done this before. And I feel like, again, the animation is absolutely gorgeous, but I feel like there's not enough heart there, which is a bit of a shame because actually my favorite part of the trailer, I've seen the trailer a few times now. My favorite part of the trailer is when the water guy, I believe his name is Wade, he's like at the fire, like the fire restaurant, and he has to try the spicy food, and he's like trying to keep it down, but he lets out a solitary burp, and then it's a bubble, but then the bubble bursts. He's like, ah! I don't know why I laugh at that part so much, but I just do.
Yeah,
But
it looks
okay.
it looks all right though, but I don't know. Hopefully, it's I'm hoping, and also it's being released against the Flash. Does Disney have any
Yeah.
faith for this movie?
Yeah, that's not a good sign. One thing I forgot to mention with the Boogeyman is that that's being dumped the same weekend as Across the Spider Verse. And let me check my Regal app because I was looking at this earlier and I wanted to bring this up. It's being dumped the same weekend as Across the Spider Verse. Not to mention Fast and Furious 10. Quality aside, is still there. So I feel like that movie's just getting buried all the way home. I'm praying the Flash bombs big time, but I have a feeling it will do well. But hopefully, they will cut ties with Ezra. I mean, it seems like they're doing a hard reset with James Gunn coming in, so it's looking like that might end up happening.
I got one comment. I think praying for a movie to bomb. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Like they had a bad hand for one thing.
Yeah.
I think so many people that were not even affiliated with Ezra Miller worked on this movie. You got to remember visual effects artists. You got your people that design the sets and the costumes. You got the guy who makes the score and composes the music, who probably never even met Ezra. So they all got jobs too. You got to put that into perspective.
That I could not have put that any more succinctly, because keep in mind, movies are massive productions. They employ hundreds if not thousands of people, extras, crew. So if you pray a movie bombs, then they're not going to get paid as good. So like I've never agreed with like hate watching or just like, I mean, boycotting, sure, I can see the logic in that, but just praying something doesn't do well, I don't know. I respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
But Aaron White's back. Maybe they think it won't win people over, so they're going back to the well with Toy Story 5. Oh yeah, I forgot Toy Story 5 is
that's what it sounds like to me. They're just kind of pushing this off to the side so they could just make Toy Story 5 and make the easy money.
Yeah, Jeremiah Bach, sigh. I'm worried about Elemental. Ha, did you see the ad where an Earth kid has a flower on his armpit, plucks it off, and offers it to Ember? I did not. That sounds gross. That sounds really gross. I'm not kidding. That happens. So many of the jokes we've seen should have been cut. Jason, I've lost all faith in Disney. They haven't made a good movie in a couple of years. They've been struggling. They've really been struggling in the quality department the past few years. And, well, I guess we'll agree to disagree. Yeah, that's fair. That's
fair.
Simple agreement to disagreement. But let's move right along now to a movie I'm looking forward to very much, Asteroid City. The itinerary of a junior stargazer convention is spectacularly disrupted by world-changing events. This is the new film from Wes Anderson, and I have been covering every Wes Anderson movie in honor of this movie. And I've been having an interesting time doing it. It wasn't until the last one I did, Fantastic Mr. Fox, that I was like, this is the Wes Anderson I recognize. But I've been really enjoying the trailers for this. It's got Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston. The people that you normally associate with Wes Anderson, plus some new faces. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to go 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4 on this one personally, even though I am a Wes Anderson fan. The only reason I didn't go as high as you is because I did not like Wes Anderson's last movie, The French Dispatch. I thought the film was another snooze fest. To me, it had a lot of Wes Anderson-isms, but I feel like that one, he took it too far to where I was disinterested in what he was doing with it. However, this does look like a return to form. I like he's doing kind of like your typical narrative structure instead of the anthology route, which I didn't like in The French Dispatch. I like that he's got his big-name actors back as usuals. It's cool to see Tom Hanks in a Wes Anderson movie. I'm sure he's going to do awesome in it. And I just think I do think it's going to be a return to form, and I hope it's one of his better movies. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the people like Wes Anderson's gone a bit against the grain here. I don't think Bill Murray is even in this one. Hang on, let me check my
Yeah,
slideshow here.
I looked that up when they announced the cast. I'm like, I didn't see Bill Murray's name on the list, but no, he's not on the cast list.
I mean,
I read,
surely that
I
had to have been a mistake, but no, he's not in it.
I read he was supposed to have been in it, but when they were filming, Bill Murray had COVID at the time, and so he couldn't be at the shoot.
Okay, that makes too much sense. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, fair enough. I mean, I'm sure this movie was filmed in like 2020, 2021. So, I mean, it was rough times. So, understandable. But I mean, his presence will sorely be missed because Bill Murray
Oh,
and Wes Anderson just go together like peanut butter and jelly.
oh, for sure.
But next up, this is going to Netflix. This is Extraction 2. After barely surviving his grievous wounds from his mission in Dhaka, Bangladesh, Tyler Rake is back and his team is ready to take on their next mission. So I have not seen the first Extraction movie. I heard semi-good things about it. Jacob, what did you think?
Yeah, I have actually seen the first Extraction. Very generic plot as far as the story goes. All it is Chris Hemsworth protecting a kid. That's pretty much it. There's not really much to it. The action in the movie, though, is absolutely incredible, though. Like, the only reason the movie's worth watching is because it has some really good action set pieces in it. There's like this 10-minute long one take action scene with Chris Hemsworth running around shooting people. There's even one part where he's driving a vehicle at one point during the shot. And I'm like, this is really, really cool. I would be more excited about Extraction 2, but to me, I'll go into slight spoilers here. But at the end of the first movie, he dies at the end of the first movie. And they're like, and even in the trailer, they're like, well, you were clinically dead for 9 months, but you're somehow back to life. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna buy his return back because you set your ending in stone in the first movie. This just sounds like
Again, let me read this plot. After barely surviving his grievous wounds, you mean cheating death, like shuffling off the mortal coil? He comes back from that?
Yeah. It sounds like they're going to go Fast and Furious logic on this movie. But
no.
aside from that, that's one concern I have. But the action in it looks incredible. Chris Hemsworth looks committed to the part. It looks like they're going to do some more extended, long take action sequences. Like there's this one scene on a train in the trailer, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool. But again, I'm not sure about the story, but the action looks really good. So I'm just going to go 3 on Extraction 2.
I'm going to go 2.5. Like, just from what you described, I'm like, yeah, no. I could be surprised, though. Who knows? Well, next up, sticking with going from Netflix to theaters, The Blackening. 7 black friends who go away for the weekend only to find themselves trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. Will their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies help them stay alive? Probably not. So, Jacob, when this trailer ended, I was like, oh, I cannot wait. So please, go first.
I didn't know this was coming out either. When I finished watching the trailer, I'm like, this actually looks kind of funny. They're kind of like making fun of all the horror tropes, particularly like the trope where like the black characters gets killed off first. What happens if you have a black family trapped in a room? How does that work? Just some of the jokes look absolutely hilarious. I think this is my kind of self-aware humor. I think it's good. It looks decent. I'm gonna go 3.5.
You know what? I'm gonna go 3. I do agree with you. There's a part of me that's like, I'm not sure, but then the more I mulled it over and thought it over, I was like, this actually could be quite interesting. So yeah, mildly looking forward to that one. Well, another one that I think I can probably say, Yeah, no to this. No hard feelings. On the brink of losing her home, Maddie finds an intriguing job listing. Helicopter parents looking for someone to bring their introverted 19-year-old son out of his shell before college. She has one summer to make him a man or die trying. Well, that sounds charming, doesn't it?
Yeah, I hated this trailer so much. I mean, nothing against Jennifer Lawrence. She is a talented actress,
Yeah.
but this just looked like shock content for the sake of shock content. And those movies tend to rub me off the wrong way. And so this whole movie looks like trash to me. And I'm glad you clarified in the synopsis that that was a 19-year-old, because I would have assumed that that boy was underage. I would have thought it was
Yeah.
like 15 or 16. I'm like, what are we doing with this? Why are you passing this off as a comedy? This is gross.
Like, I could have sworn that he was like way younger, as like younger than 19. I would have just in my head just been like do 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 do. Like we're in the Twilight Zone. But yeah, this movie just does not look good to me. I'm slowly kind of growing an allergy to raunchy comedies. Like I'll see them for the purposes of reviewing them, but I just feel like they try way too hard.
Yeah, and this looks like one of those cases. And even like the most acclaimed R-rated comedies, like they have to at least do something, at least have some heart to it for me to appreciate them. Like Tropic Thunder is a great R-rated comedy. Step Brothers is another good R-rated comedy. But then something like what was it? Booksmart that came out a few years ago. I thought that one was overhyped. Like it had some funny moments, but there were parts of that movie that rubbed me off the wrong way, especially in how it approached the teenage partying aspect.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm struggling to give this like. Do you think 1.5 is being too harsh?
I gave it a 1 because I didn't really find any value when watching the trailer.
With the half star going just to Jennifer Lawrence because she does deserve better than that. I saw the trailer for The Blackening attached to Creed 3. Looks funny. Yeah, it does look funny. But moving right along back to Netflix is The Perfect Find. After a high-profile firing, Jenna's fashion career comeback hits a snag when she falls for a charming, much younger coworker who happens to be her boss's son. Oh no! As sparks fly, Jenna must decide if she'll risk it all on a secret romance. Should we just like one and done this one, Jacob?
Yeah, this one didn't look that good to me either. I feel like this is another one that been there, done that premises, and I cannot stand this trope. I only went 2.5 only because I like Gabrielle Union. I've seen her in movies I've seen her in a couple good movies, and I'm sure she could carry the movie well, but nah, this movie just looks dull and forgettable to me.
Yeah, I give it a 1.5.
Yeah, I'll go 2 just for Gabrielle Union.
All right, well, coming down to the wire here, and our last big movie, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. So as of this recording, the reviews have started to slowly trickle out of Cannes and other places, and they have been mixed, to say the least. I think I saw one where David Ehrlich from, I believe it's IndieWire, was actually defending Kingdom of the Crystal Skull over this one, which was previously the most hated one of these movies. So that is certainly not a good sign. Jacob, I pass it off to you first. What did you think?
All right, so I have a lot to say on Dial of Destiny.
You and me both, so take your time.
I love the original 3 Indiana Jones movies. It's a fantastic trilogy. Even if it ended at Last Crusade, it would be one of the best trilogies of all time. Crystal Skull, I think it's a little too much hate. It's a flawed movie. There's a lot of issues with it, but Harrison Ford's still committed to the role. There's some good action in it. And I liked the concept of what it was trying to do, even if it didn't execute it that well. This movie, even with the mixed reception it's getting, that's not deterring me from still watching the film. I want to see Harrison Ford play the character one last time. James Mangold has a pretty good track record. I've loved his past movies. Walk the Line, Ford versus Ferrari, The Wolverine, 310 to Yuma, Logan are all great movies. So he has a good track record. This one, I was skeptical on the idea at first, seeing an 80-year-old Indiana Jones, but to me, if Harrison Ford's committed to playing the character, then I'd say just let him do it. And I'm hoping even if the movie can be flawed, even if the movie is flawed, I'm hoping it's at least a good swan song for the character. That's all I'm hoping for. And I hope it has some good action to back it up and make it worthwhile. Even with the mixed reception, I think I'm going to go 4 just because I love the franchise. I love the character. And I want to see, and I'm just naturally curious to see the swan song.
Bryson's back. I think Harrison Ford is way too old to do the physical stunts. If he does, he will hurt himself. All right, so here it goes. I'm going 1 out of 5. There has been nothing to convince me that this movie is going to be any good. They have tried. Like, brought Harrison Ford back. John Rhys-Davies is back as Sala. Mads Mikkelsen, my boy, Mads Mikkelsen is the villain. James Mangold, Ford v Ferrari, Walk the Line, 310 to Yuma, Logan. You ran down his filmography, Jacob Martin. He is absolutely everything that James, like one of the best directors working today. I don't think this movie is going to be good because Harrison Ford, see that number there?
He's 80.
He is 80 human years old. And I don't know. It's the same thing with the Michael Keaton stuff. It's cheap nostalgia. Like, there's no reason. And I toyed around in the head. It's like a 5th movie could, like, there have been other Indiana Jones stories besides the main trilogy. In the video games, there was a young Indiana Jones TV show. So I'm not opposed to Indy 5. But again, the man is in his 80s. Like, and age is just a number. But at the same time, I'm just sitting there like, what are we doing, y'all? I don't know. And it just, like I said, there has just been, it's nothing but smoke and mirrors to me to distract the fact that this movie is just limited. And it feels like it just has nothing new to say at this point. Again, kind of like The Flash, if I'm wrong, and I will jump on my channel and say, I was wrong, this movie's good, I apologize. But nothing has convinced me to state that I will be wrong about this. And I don't mean to be harsh, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like we've had 2 polar opposite opinions this month between this and The Flash. So it's going to be interesting. Who's going to win this battle, me or Ryan?
He kept things fresh, though, that is for certain. But we've only got a couple movies left tonight, so let's get on to it. Starting off with one that we're both have particular vested interest in, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. A shy adolescent teen learns that she comes from a fabled royal family of legendary sea krakens, and that her destiny lies in the depths of the waters, which is bigger than she could have ever imagined. So we have a little podcast together, Jacob, called Discussing DreamWorks. So I think we're both very much looking forward to this movie. And honestly, the trailers for this have all looked pretty solid. What do you think?
Yeah, this movie kind of came out of nowhere for me because before 2023 started, I knew DreamWorks was doing a Trolls movie, which is coming out later this year. But they dropped this trailer a couple months ago, and I'm like, oh, they're doing this movie. And I saw the trailer, and it actually looks really, really good. Looks like I like the originality of the premise, where they're kind of diving into this mythology with krakens and mermaids, but they're kind of flipping them on its head, where like the krakens are good and the mermaids are evil, and even the villainous mermaid is like a stab at Ariel. I kind of miss the days when Disney and DreamWorks would kind of have this rivalry together. It looks like they're doing it once again. Now that Disney's kind of taking a dump a little bit in the last couple of years. So I just think that's all good and fun. I like the colorful animation. I like the unique styles that DreamWorks have been playing around with in some of their recent films, especially in The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And I think this movie has the potential to be a sleeper hit. The only concern I have is it's coming out the same weekend as Dial of Destiny. The movie might underperform because of that, but I'm hoping if it has good word of mouth, I hope it has solid legs, and hopefully it'll actually be another hit for the studio, much like Puss in Boots was.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things we talked about with the Boogeyman being placed with Across the Spider-Verse. I feel like it's a bit of a death spot, but I guess we'll just have to see what happens. I guess it depends on the actors. Sylvester Stallone is 76 and doing the Expendables 4. Oh, I forgot the Expendables 4 was a thing.
Oh, yeah. I think going back to Harrison Ford, I mean, he is committed. I mean, even he's been cast. He's replacing William Hurt as General Ross in the MCU, and he's already going to be the character in the new Captain America film, New World Order, and the Thunderbolts movie. So,
well, the thing is, Stallone is already a Guardian in Guardians of the Galaxy, so I don't know how that's going to work.
No, I was, Thunderbolt Ross was, that was the character William Hurt played in Incredible Hulk, Civil War.
Oh, my bad.
Remember, he passed away, and Harrison Ford's playing the character now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Oh crap! This looks so sadly generic. The bad monsters are actually good. Imagine that. The pretty popular girl is mean. Imagine that. Jeremiah does have a bit of a point there. I do think it's a little weird that the villain of the movie, being Ruby Gillman, is like a literal carbon copy of Ariel with like the red hair and everything. Seems a bit on the nose.
But considering the past rivalry between Disney and DreamWorks, to me it's just good silly fun.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Even the animation didn't seem to have anything special about it. I'm glad you guys are looking forward to it, though. I always root for new animated films. I hope I'm completely wrong.
Oh, I forgot to do my anticipation rating. Ruby Gillman, I'm going 4.5.
I'll give it a 4. And to cap things off for the June 2023 preview is Nimona. This is coming to Netflix. When a knight in a futuristic medieval world is framed for a crime he did not commit, the only one who can help him prove his innocence is Nimona, a mischievous teen who happens to be a shape-shifting creature he's sworn to destroy. All right, so Jay, what did you think of this?
Okay. To me, the most interesting thing about Nimona more so is the production history surrounding this movie. For those who are not aware, Nimona was originally developed by a studio called Blue Sky. The same people behind the Ice Age movies, Robots, Peanuts movie, Rio. Disney shut Blue Sky down, but this movie was like 75% completed. And the movie was left unfinished when the studio was shut down. But however, there was such fan demand, especially on the source material that Nimona was based on. People were demanding and petitioning that this movie got sold to another studio. To be honest, I signed it just for curiosity to see the finished film. And
wow.
Netflix ended up picking this movie up, and they finished the rest of the movie where Blue Sky left off. So it's kind of a blessing that this movie even exists because of the production history. My intrigue on this film is mainly to see the finished film, to see if it's any good or not. I know a lot of animation fans, especially on Twitter, are like super hyped for this movie. Some are saying it's their most anticipated movie of the year. I can't go there. I'm not familiar with the source material. I just saw the teaser trailer. I love the animation style in the teaser trailer, and I think it's going to have some good action in it. But I'd like to know more about the story and the character first before I get too invested in it. But I'm still intrigued mainly to see the finished film. And to be honest, I'd rather see Nimona over Elemental, which looks too generic for me. So I'm going to give Nimona a 3.5.
So I legit did not know that this was a Blue Sky joint. So Jacob, you taught me something this evening.
Yeah,
I had no idea this was Blue Sky.
it was originally, but I don't even know if they're going to be credited on the film because it just says Netflix. But
No.
the production history. But it sounded like Blue Sky did a good chunk of the movie's animation before they shut down.
Well, I'm gonna meet your score and go 3.5. I think there might be some potential here, especially with that in mind. And the cast honestly looks pretty good as well. You got Chloe Grace Moretz in there. You got Riz Ahmed in there. RuPaul of all people is a voice in this. I did not expect that, but there you go. So yeah, I think this could be interesting.
Yeah, I hope it delivers, especially for those who were petitioning for it to come out. Like there was a campaign on Twitter, hashtag Save Nimona, Save Nimona. I'm like I don't know who this Nimona is, but then again, if we got the Snyder cut, anything is possible.
So you could be watching something that you personally were like, yeah, I want to see this. Well, Jacob, that is the end of the preview. We are 90 minutes in. It's crazy, like the time that has gone by. But this is like a pretty loaded preview. Here's Jeremiah. I love the comic Nimona that the film is based on. I think it looks pretty good despite all the mess with Disney closing Blue Sky. So yeah. So pretty loaded preview. June looks to be very interesting. Not a dull moment throughout the month. Again, I had some pretty hot takes, I will admit, but I stand by them. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I pass it off to all of you. Oh, wait. Which, by the way, closing Blue Sky is such a pity. We won't be getting a Peanuts movie sequel. Yeah, I forgot that the Peanuts movie was Blue Sky. That's a tragedy because that Peanuts movie was awesome.
Yeah, that was such a good movie. My favorite movie from the studio, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best Peanuts movie we will ever get because I don't know, the shelf behind me, I don't know if you all can see it. It's like I'm pointing at it. But I have several Peanuts books, like a treasury and a bunch of my grandma's old ones that I keep down there, like down there in Calvin and Hobbes and Zits and Baby Blues. I'm a big reader of like newspaper comics. So that Peanuts movie was like hit me right here. So it's sad that Blue Sky is no longer with us.
Yeah, I agree. They didn't have the best movies, but they still had some great movies and some hidden gems in there.
Yeah. When they hit, they hit. That's what's important.
Yeah, that's true.
But I pass it off to all of you in the live chat or watching the playback later. What are you looking forward to the most in June 2023? Let us know. We'd love to read what you have to say. Well, Jacob, it is a privilege, as always, to do this show with you. I would say this is probably my favorite preview that we've done. And I might be getting slightly ahead of myself, but I think this was a very interesting and excellent discussion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm sure the July discussion is going to be hopefully even crazier because we got Mission Impossible coming out. We got Christopher Nolan's new movie, Oppenheimer, coming out. That weird Barbie movie coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm just happy that Barbie movie's coming out because I'm sick of the memes with like the tough butch-looking dudes just standing there like 4 for Barbie, please. I'm like, nice job, guys. How original. Like it doesn't even really that appeal to me that much, but Rachel can't stop talking about
it. Yeah. I'm just kind of in. Just that whole movie is a mystery to me. but we'll talk about that when we get there.
We will definitely cross that bridge when we get there. But like I said, Jacob, privileged to do this with you every week. We will be going back to a pre-recorded format for next week. But until that time, Jacob, tell the people where they can find you.
They can find me on Letterboxd, Twitter, Facebook. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel where I do mostly live streams now. I've been doing what I've watched live streams every once in a while where I talk about what I've been watching, and then I edit what I talk about and re-upload them into movie reviews. I just uploaded a review of the Peter Bogdanovich film She's Funny That Way just yesterday, and I'll have a Celebrating Disney video up probably tomorrow or Friday where I'll be talking about Tom and Huck from 1995. Also, this Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll have Ryan Cam and my friend Henry Mockingbird on for a live stream where we will be reacting to a hot take. We will be reacting to a negative review of The Lion King. Yes, the good Lion King from 1994 by a YouTuber called Confused Matthew. I think it's going to be an interesting reaction, discussion, try to have a discussion over the opinion and in a very respectful fashion. I'm excited to dive into what I'm hoping to be a start of a new series on the channel that I think will be all in good fun.
Yeah, go and subscribe to Jacob. Aaron's got to go. He's got to cook dinner. Hope it's something good, Aaron. Thank you for stopping by. Bryson, one more time. Maybe Sony Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse I'm excited for the most. You and me, both, brother.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait. Jeremiah had a previous one. You're a Peanuts fan, Ryan? I love Peanuts and Calvin and Hobbes. I have a bajillion Peanuts and Calvin and Hobbes as well. Well, bye, Ryan. Bye, Jacob. Cheers. Thank you, Jeremiah. It is a privilege, as always, if you are going. Yeah, Rachel is so hyped for it. Everyone is, lol. Why? Nobody knows. Nobody knows why. Not that Barbie looks bad, but it doesn't look amazing. And everyone is reacting like this is the most hilarious, exciting movie of the month or even the year. I am so confused. I don't get it either, but I feel like with Greta Gerwig behind the wheel, I feel like they might go for like a meta kind of thing. So I'm interested to see it at the very least. I'm seeing Oppenheimer first, though. That is without a doubt. But I will definitely be seeing Barbie just to see, like, what is up with all of that.
Yeah. I got to say, between the two movies coming out that weekend, I am Team Oppenheimer all the way.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I look forward to reacting to this bad review, this movie review of The Lion King with you and Henry. That'll be on Jacob's channel. Go give him a subscribe. As for this channel, The Road to Asteroid City will be continuing with my review of Moonrise Kingdom, one of my, if not my favorite, live-action Wes Anderson film. And then, of course, I'll be reviewing Across the Spider-Verse when I do see it. I plan on seeing it Saturday night. So stay tuned for that. And I do have something very fun planned for a spoiler discussion for that movie, but that'll be a little further up the road. So I'll let you all know when that is in the works. But thank you all so much for watching. For Jacob Martin, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you in the next one. You all have a great night. You all take care.
Bye, everybody.